So we're at a point now where Rory McIlroy has gone 10 years without winning a major championship. He's become this voice for the PGA Tour against LIV, but then also kind of pokes at Americans. Like, do you think Rory McIlroy is actually going to win a major championship again? But the other side of that is, are you actually rooting for him to get back to that height in the game of golf?
Well, I love Rory McIlroy, and I do think he will win another major. I think he's played good enough golf. He still has won the FedEx Cup. He's won big events. He's right there in the mix. We can talk about the 3-footer that he missed, at the U.S. Open when Bryson got up and down and won. But I think Rory, if he keeps knocking at the door, and I believe this really with anything, if you keep knocking at the door, if you keep getting swings at the plate, you're going to eventually win again. And I think Rory's a world-class talent, and he's good enough to find a way to win another major. But yeah, I mean, there's been a drought, and there definitely has been some issues with closing tournaments as of late, past couple of years,
Well, obviously we want to hear your thoughts in the comments. So please, I think everyone has an opinion in 2024 on Rory McIlroy, one way or the other. And I bet it flip-flops, kind of like his opinion flip-flops on PGA Tour and LIV and everything that's going on in the golf world.
And this used to be Tiger too.
Well,
will Tiger win again?
100%. And I always thought it was one of the dumbest questions ever. And I get why people would ask it, but of course they all had the ability to rise up and win one major championship. Was that going to happen at 42? Was it going to happen at 46? I have no idea. Rory McIlroy is still very young. Like, he's going to have another 30 shots at least, of 50 shots maybe at major. Look, I'd have to do the numbers on that, but
Tiger won it in 2019 when he was older age. Phil Mickelson won it when he was 50 at Kiowa, which is crazy, when he won the PGA Championship. So definitely there's going to be more opportunities for Rory. This is such a question that gets a lot of buzz, and Rory
have an opinion one way or another. Is he doing it?
No, I said I think that Rory will. I do.
Right.
He's a good enough player, and I think there's just clearly been some sort of issue lately with closing tournaments. Missing that 3.5-footer at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst was absolutely crazy, and he missed a 3-footer 2 holes prior. That stuff just shouldn't happen. And I know that the putt on 18 was broke a lot more than people could probably see on TV, and it was more difficult than just a standard 3.5-footer. But look, you got to make that putt, and even that a couple holes prior,
you have to.
Yep.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And obviously it haunted him, and he took his clubs and his ball, and he drove home, and he took a couple of weeks off, and he
didn't come and play the Rocket Mortgage.
Right. Yeah,
you're in
Detroit and just hang out in Jupiter, and then go play the Scottish Open, and had a good week there, terrible week at the Open. Fortunately for him, but I'm with you. I mean, obviously I think he'll win another major. Clearly there's some mental issues and things he's got to work through. The putter, ultimately the putter has always been an issue, unfortunately for him. He's one of the best, world-class, ball strikers and drivers of the golf ball in the entire world. There's no debate about his swing and his ball striking ability. It literally has come down to, can he make enough putts? Can his short game do it, or is it going to betray him? And ultimately, you got to rise up for 4 days.
Right.
And I got to believe that at some point, he's going to be able to do that. I bet he wins multiple majors before all is said and done.
And again, we want to, please guys, comment below if you think Rory will win a major again, and if you're rooting for him, frankly, because there are a lot of people that sense all the LIV stuff happen, and Rory has, I never want to hold someone to an opinion, especially when they're, speaking on something so new as LIV golf was. But yeah, he has gone back. Think about what Rory has gone through lately. He's gone back and forth between LIV and PGA Tour. He's the spokesperson for the PGA. Then the PGA Tour comes out and announces this partnership with LIV, even though they're not in good terms still.
Whatever. Not allowed.
So then Rory kind of backtracks, and it's been this whole flip-flop where people have been pissed off that he's been taking different stances on it. That's number one. Number two, and I'm not diving into people's personal lives. That's not my business, and we're not going there. But obviously the stuff, the stuff with his divorce as well. And quite frankly, flip-flopping, he was going to get divorced. Now he's not getting divorced. The guy's had a lot going on lately. And, it is very tough to close out these tournaments. I'm surprised that it's been so difficult for him to close out the tournaments, but still, there is so much talent on tour nowadays. These majors are so ridiculously competitive with guys that are just, look at Valhalla on some of those scores for the, the PGA this year. it's so ridiculously competitive with these majors and guys just stepping up, and all these young guys on tour that are so ready to win. I think it's one of the most fascinating times, certainly in golf, but also one of the most fascinating times on the PGA Tour. Because again, specifically to the PGA Tour, let's not talk about LIV for a second, specifically to the PGA Tour, there are so many of these young guys, Nick Dunlap, Neil Shipley's going to be really good. The other guy that just has finished in top 10 in all these tournaments, Luke Clanton, right? Mm-hmm. All these guys are so ready to win out of college nowadays. So you combine that with the comment you just made about still on any given week with the talent out there, anyone can still win. You see guys like Jonathan Vegas just won a PGA Tour event again. Older guys, right?
Years or 8 years.
So yeah. It's a really interesting mix of younger guys that are so damn talented and older guys that can still string it together for tournaments and absolutely compete. We've seen it with Vegas. We've seen it with Stewart Cink. We've seen it with Lucas Glover. As somewhat of an older guy, it's a fascinating time, top to bottom, with how much talent there is. And in my opinion, as much as there's top-heavy talent at LIV, from a top-to-bottom perspective, I think the tour is still so much more talented and so much more depth. And look at the scores even in major championships of tour guys versus LIV top to bottom.
I totally agree. I also think they're playing for more. I mean, a lot of the guys on, and this doesn't have to be a LIV PGA Tour discussion, but obviously it's hard to avoid it. I think on LIV, a lot of those, especially for the top guys, it's a glorified exhibition. They're literally using those events to just try and make sure their game is sharp because they're focused on going to the 4 majors. If they have exemptions and they're, eligible to compete in them, that's what I view it as. Like, I view these guys almost playing practice rounds, on LIV, just to make sure that they're ready to go for the big 4 majors against the entire collection of all the best players in the world. So it's hard for me to even see the motivation where on the PGA Tour, you have a lot of young guys who are trying to prove themselves, trying to get their card, get better status on tour. Like, I think there's a lot more to play for, not to mention there really isn't that guaranteed money. There isn't the guarantee that outside of the $5,000, if you make the cut, like, there isn't much.
If you that didn't be fun, right.
So I think from a competitive standpoint, you can't compare PGA Tour and LIV. Like, I don't think there's much competitive fire at all on LIV. So in my opinion, like, I absolutely, getting back to Rory, I think there's no doubt for 4 days, he can rise up and put together, 4 rounds in the 60s and do it right. I mean, he's had some of those horrendous starts to some of these majors the last several years where he goes and shoots a 75 or 76, and then all of a sudden he shoots a 63 and flips the script, and but he ultimately ends up a couple of shots short on Sunday. So I do think he'll get it right and figure it out. The other side of that, like you mentioned, is, are people actually rooting for him, to do that? And like, he clearly has had to step up and become the spokesperson. He's had to give his opinion and defend the tour and, everything along those lines. But even something as basic as, his comments on the elevated events and, they need to go to more, no cut, the top 30, 40 players out there are going to be a part of it, competing for more money and blah, blah, blah. So then you get this negative connotation of, well, Rory isn't really a fan or a proponent of the 50 to 150 players that are on the PGA Tour because, well, what about us? We don't get, status into those events. And like, again, I just think he's given his opinion a lot, and I can appreciate a guy who he's asked questions constantly from all these media people that are always looking for a quote, and he's not afraid to just give his opinion. But as it's presented to the casual golf fan, as it's presented to people like us, whatever, who follow it, it's like, Rory, can you just shut your mouth at a certain point too? Because
a lot of people have just now.
Like, you're almost insulting every single side of the golf world. And I can see why some people go, this guy's getting a little bit self-righteous and sanctimonious about it. It's like, all right, enough to a certain degree. Just go out there and play golf.
I think Rory's still well-liked. I think clearly he has one of the best swings ever. No, Tiger said that about, how he tells Charlie, sit down enough Charlie Woods video, but how Tiger tells Charlie to watch Rory swing, not his. There's no doubt that Rory is still polarizing. And yeah, whether it's been his comments and stuff like that, whether it's been, of course, and talk about why some people, especially in America, might not look the stuff with the Ryder Cup and the fight and things like that.
All these comments and lay golf, in the Olympics or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. That's, so, what did you think of the rough here? Well, I didn't spend very much time in the rough here a couple of years ago.
And there's
that's friendly.
Good friendly banter at the Ryder Cup it's great with friendly banter, and there also can be very, very competitive moments though too, much like the Joe LaCava and Rory, little dust up or whatever, and then yelling after in the parking lot. The Ryder Cup is an event, and I've been to it before. You haven't, right?
Right. 100%.
But
got that one out.
The Ryder Cup is an event where it's obviously so competitive, and there's so much to play for, and emotions fly, whatever. But when push comes to shove, I think that Rory McIlroy can really silence a lot of people in one particular way, and that's by just going and winning the Masters. The Masters is the one where if Rory wins, that is, yes, another major, and he gets that monkey off his back, but it's also the career Grand Slam that he doesn't have. He's won the Open Championship. He's won the U.S. Open. He's won the PGA Championship. He needs to win the Masters to complete that career Grand Slam, and I think that that's the one where if he wants to really shut up everybody about this, is he washed up? Can he still win? Is he going to choke? Can he still win a major? The Masters, go out and win it in April.
Right, but that also presents, the exact problem that he's really had, which is it's all about short game there. I mean, it's all about the greens, and are you going to make putts? Are you going to be able to hit those shots and get up and down? And so
there's plenty of demanding tee shots out there, but yeah,
there is. And again, I don't think that's the biggest concern. I just ultimately, I don't know that that's the best fit. Like if you had to ask me right now, and again, we're talking about, and guys, please comment below, but is Rory McIlroy going to win another major championship? Absolutely. We both think yes. But if you had to ask me, is one of those major championships that he wins eventually going to be the Masters? I would say
I don't know.
I would, just because of the short game and putting and everything that goes into the green complexes at Augusta. And you've both been there and walked the grounds. I mean, you can really see the undulations.
Yeah, I've been there twice.
Right.
You've only been there. I don't know. So I could speak to it double the amount.
Right.
Yes, but I understand that Augusta National will never allow it to just be some ball strikers paradise, so to speak. They are a rare situation where they have the unlimited resources. They have the land. They can push it back like they have,
change holes every year.
13, especially with that tee box. So, I mean, they've done that with 11. There's plenty of holes. We're not going to go hole by hole, but they have the resources to make sure that what you just said holds true. It's about the greens, it's about short game, and it's about managing the course and finding a way to score. They
let everyone else screw up.
Even screw up. I know we got the ball roll back and stuff like that, but even with how long guys hit it nowadays, it's been one course that's been able to, okay, fine, we'll keep up with that. You're not just going to come out here and just hit it 360 yards and turn this into an easy course. They would they bars out
57,
like Bryson said. Yeah, you're right. But again, Kyle, I think that would make it even more important. If he can just get that win, that Masters, and get it off his back from those multiple levels of not having the career Grand Slam and not having, another major in a long time, it'd be huge. And lastly, it's just fascinating to me how, majors are still such allure and such value, right? Rory has won the FedEx. He's won other big tournaments since then, but he hasn't won a major, so to speak. So I'm just curious over the years, how are we going to start viewing elevated events? How are we really going to start viewing the FedEx Cup? People don't view the FedEx Cup as a major. They just don't. It's great, and it's a big deal, and it's awesome to watch the top players every single week.
Right.
But still, I think you have, on the top level of golf, you have the majors, and you have the Ryder Cup, and that's it. I don't think the President's Cup is at that level. It's huge. It's huge, but it's not at the Ryder Cup level. Is the Olympics going to be? Maybe. We'll see how that goes in many years. But the top of golf, it still is major championship and Ryder Cup, and that's it. And your point about LIV, I think with LIV golf right now, it's guys playing for money, and it is what it is. They don't have history. They don't have the this huge competitive thing or whatever. Yes, you have on a top level, you have guys playing great golf. Brooks Koepka, Bryson DeChambeau, Waco Neiman.
And it's always gratifying to win no matter what.
It is.
Sure.
And you know what? But from a fan perspective, you're watching guys compete to win money. You know, you're not watching guys compete to win these prestigious events. And again, there are certain tour events where maybe it's not some prestigious thing either, but ultimately, I think you want to watch guys compete to win stuff that's more than just money. I think Scottie Scheffler crying at the Olympics is an example of it. You want to watch guys compete to win the ultimate prize, much like other sports. If the Super Bowl didn't exist and we were just watching the NFL every week and it was, okay, well, the Falcons are playing the Raiders and the team that wins is going to make more money. It's nowhere near as important as if you didn't have that ultimate prize of the Super Bowl or that ultimate prize in golf of majors.
Well, I think it's part of the reason why there's a lot of sports fans out there in general who have loved college athletics more so than professional athletics. And obviously everything's changed now.
Oh, it's it's totally gone too far.
It's no longer the money handshakes out of the SEC where, guys are getting cash, but it's, no one's talking about it.
It's literally out of hand.
Right. So now
it's college the NCAA's fault.
Who, hey, if you want me to stay at Michigan State or you want me to stay at Michigan this year, coach, I'm going to need at least, $500,000 in NIL deals. Otherwise, I'm going to go find a better deal at LSU. I think that is going to be something that college sports fans are going to have to stomach and deal with. And I think that's what golf fans ultimately are dealing with too, because LIV, it doesn't really provide anything outside of, guys are just having fun and yucking it up and they're making $1 million on all of these tournaments that ultimately don't really do anything. Whereas, like you mentioned, the Olympics, Scottie Scheffler's getting $37,000 for taking home gold or whatever it is. And the Ryder Cup, they're playing for nothing, even though Patrick Cantlay and the Hatless crew, they want to get paid at some point. But those are literally, and Rory just said it the other day, those are quite literally the best events in golf, and they're free, essentially. Everyone else makes money off of them. They don't.
Well, and again, just one quick, guys, we've talked about so much in this video. Comment below, and of course, if you think Rory will win another major. Kyle, you do think he will. I do as well.
I do.
I'm supposed to disagree.
I don't think it'll be the Masters, though. That's where we disagree.
Right.
That's where we part ways.
Well, you guys comment below, or even something we've talked about a lot in this video, a lot of other things, LIV, PGA Tour, whatever. I'll make one last comment on the NIL stuff. I think it's just gone way too far. And you know what? It's to a point where it's gotten so out of control. And it's so Wild West, and it's basically just, okay, whoever's going to pay for this athlete to come to the school, and it's ridiculous, and I think it's ruining things personally. I think that the NCAA years ago, it was a huge mistake to not let athletes just simply make money off their name and likeness in that way. Period. I think if they just would have years ago, as simple as it is, have said, okay, sure. You can make money off your name and your jersey sales, and that's fine. If you have the opportunity, Johnny Manziel, to go sign autographs and make money, sure, you can sign. You should be allowed to sign your name on something and make money, period. Mm-hmm. But they didn't allow that, and then it got, okay, well, fine, we're going to take you to court over it, and now just open up the floodgates where they can just pay people altogether. Mm-hmm. So I think if they just would have allowed people to just simply make money on their own, I realize you're opening up Pandora's box. I realize you're opening up, okay, well, I have an opportunity to go to this booster's Christmas party and make $400,000, and that's me. You're opening up Pandora's box. But overall, it's gotten to a point now where I don't know how the NCAA just continues to do this, because it's just guys getting paid to whoever's paying the most money is going to that school.
Right, which ultimately is what golf has become with LIV. Yeah, guys just took the money and they're satisfied. I don't blame anyone. Go ahead, take the money, but don't expect me to watch a glorified exhibition. And that's part of the reason why the majors are even more elevated, because it's the only times outside of the Ryder Cup, if those guys are allowed, the Olympics, if those guys are allowed, but those four majors are literally the only 4 times every single year we see the best golfers in the world competing in the same.
And that's totally elevated as well, no doubt. Well, guys, please comment below your thoughts on all of this, and obviously if Rory McIlroy will win another major, and if you're rooting for him. Appreciate you watching. As always, make sure to comment, subscribe.